In a move that stunned the continent, the president of Nigeria stood before cameras, microphones flashing, and made a statement that sent shockwaves across Africa. With the world listening, he demanded that Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso step down, for what he called the sake of Africa's stability. But what happened next? No one expected. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's response was not only defiant, but it challenged the very foundation of African politics, shaking both allies and opponents. And the world is still reeling from his words. Stay with us as we unpack the drama, the history, and the shocking response that could change Africa forever. The Nigerian president, seen as one of the most influential leaders in West Africa, stepped onto the podium in Abuja. The press had gathered for what they thought would be a routine address on regional cooperation. But then came the unexpected words, "For Africa's stability and the unity of ECOWAS, I call on Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso to resign from office. His government, born out of military takeover, threatens the delicate balance of democracy across our region. If he truly loves Africa, he must step aside." The room went silent. Journalists exchanged glances. Within minutes, the statement spread across social media like wildfire. Hashtags began trending. Traoré must resign and Africa stability. For many Nigerians, it was a bold declaration. For others, it felt like a dangerous gamble. Why did Nigeria, a giant of the continent, decide to publicly call out Burkina Faso's young leader? The answer lies in the growing tension within ECOWAS. Since Captain Ibrahim Traoré rose to power in 2022, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have formed an alliance that rejected foreign interference and turned their backs on Western influence. This move, though popular with their citizens, rattled older African governments who feared instability. Nigeria, already battling economic crises, insecurity, and its own political divisions, saw Traoré's radical stance as a threat. The fear was simple. If one young soldier could inspire millions by rejecting old systems, what would stop others from rising too? And so, the Nigerian president made his move, urging resignation not in private talks, but before the entire world. Ouagadougou streets, young people waving flags of Burkina Faso. In Burkina Faso, people held their breath. Radio stations replayed the speech over and over. In cafes and markets, debates broke out. Would Captain Ibrahim Traoré bend to pressure? Would he respond with silence? But those who knew him already had their answer. For Captain Ibrahim Traoré was never one to shy away from confrontation. Press conference hall in Ouagadougou. Captain Ibrahim Traoré walking to the podium in military uniform. The next evening, Ouagadougou was alive with anticipation. The national broadcaster announced that the president would address the nation and the continent. When he appeared, dressed in his camouflage uniform, beret tilted, eyes steady, the room fell silent. He stood tall, and in a voice both calm and fiery, he delivered words that would echo across Africa. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, I have heard the call from the president of Nigeria. He says I must resign for the stability of Africa. But I ask, whose stability are we talking about? The stability of the people, or the stability of corrupt systems that have betrayed us for decades? Gasps filled the hall. His words pierced through every living room tuned in. But he did not stop there. They say we threaten democracy. But what democracy allows foreign powers to dictate our destiny? What democracy allows millions of Africans to live in hunger, while our resources enrich others abroad? If this is the democracy they want us to protect, then no, I will not resign. The hall erupted in applause. Outside, crowds gathered, chanting his name. Then came the part that no one saw this coming. Captain Ibrahim Traoré leaned forward, voice unshakable. I say this directly to the president of Nigeria. Brother, you ask me to step down for Africa's stability, but true stability will come when leaders stop serving foreign interests and start serving their people. If anyone must resign for Africa's stability, it is not me. The crowd roared. Some journalists gasped audibly. His words spread instantly across social media. Clips were shared millions of times in hours. The hashtag Traoré Speaks eclipsed all others. In Nigeria, the reaction was immediate. Some praised their president for standing up for order, but others, especially the youth, began comparing Nigeria's leadership to Captain Ibrahim Traoré's boldness. On the streets of Lagos and Accra, Ghana, students and others held posters with Captain Traoré's image, calling him the voice of the new Africa. In Abuja, opposition figures accused the government of bowing to Western pressure while Burkina Faso was standing tall. The shock was not only in Traoré's refusal, but in how his words turned the spotlight back on Nigeria itself. Across Africa, the speech ignited fire. In Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and beyond, talk shows dissected his words. Youth movements drew inspiration, saying Traoré had said what many leaders feared to admit. Even in Mali and Niger, his closest allies, his statement deepened the sense of unity. They declared that Burkina Faso would not stand alone. But in certain quarters, there was unease. Older governments whispered that Traoré was dangerous not because of his army, but because of his ideas. In Europe and America, officials watched nervously. Analysts appeared on news channels, warning that Traoré's defiance was fueling a wave of Pan-Africanism that could rewrite alliances. Western think tanks published reports overnight, calling Burkina Faso the epicenter of African resistance. But for ordinary Africans, his words meant something much simpler: hope. After the storm of his response, Traoré gave interviews clarifying his stance. He said, "We are not against Nigeria, nor against any African nation. But Africa must rise with dignity. We will not step down to protect systems of exploitation. Instead, we will stand until our people are truly free." He spoke of building industries, using Africa's own resources, and ending the culture of dependency. His message was not resignation but rebirth. The confrontation between Nigeria's president and Traoré left Africa at a crossroads. Would nations rally behind the old order of compromise, or embrace the fiery new vision of sovereignty? Would leaders silence Traoré's voice, or would they be forced to confront the truth he represented? No matter what, one thing had become clear. The young captain of Burkina Faso had shaken the throne of power with nothing but his words, and Africa would never be the same. African youth waving flags, Traoré's image on murals, Nigerian protests. The Nigerian president thought his public call would isolate Traoré. Instead, it amplified him. His refusal to step down, and his bold challenge back, shocked not just Nigeria but the entire world. In every corner of the continent, people are asking new questions. What does stability really mean? Who truly serves Africa? And in the answers to those questions, a new Africa may be born. If you found this story powerful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories shaping Africa's future by African lights.